Did you know the WEF were talking about digital IDs way back in 2016, 4 years before the pandemic? Weird. Hello there, you 5.1 million awakening wonders. Thank you for joining me on this journey of mutual awakening. Now, I've got to tell you about a beautiful conversation I had with Nick Corbishley, who's written a book about Davos, the WEF, Klaus Schwab, all of that stuff. He's unpacked it at depth. This conversation took place on my podcast, Under the Skin, available from Luminary. You can subscribe to it if you want to and if you can afford to. This bit we're giving you for free, our beloved viewers, where he talks about digital IDs and how Microsoft and WEF were talking about proposals to have us all digital ID'd up way back in 2016 and making it more or less mandatory by 2030. But in this conversation, we're talking about digital IDs and the WEF. Across the course of that conversation, we talk in depth about their actual influence and the way that they prime and prepare political candidates. People like Merkel, Blair, Putin, Macron, like your man Trudeau, all these people have been through WEF, a sort of politician youth training scheme.
Yeah, I think that we are very much in danger of kind of sleepwalking into a tech-enabled tyranny. I think that is clearly a possibility, and there are clear interests in pushing this, into making this a reality. There's an organization called ID 2020 that very few people know about. I'd never heard of it before I started researching for this book. The ID 2020 Alliance. It was set up in 2016 with seed money from Microsoft, Accenture, PwC, Rockefeller Foundation, Cisco, and Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. So, I mean, it's a very powerful organization, and its founding mission...
In 2016, it was set up.
In 2016. And
when there wasn't a pandemic.
When there wasn't a pandemic. The World Economic Forum, they were talking about digital identity back in 2018. It was the main topic. It was the top topic of the Davos event that year. And they produced an enormous report about how wonderful digital identity would be for the world. And my personal feeling, considering you've got an organization like ID 2020 with these sort of backers talking about the wonderful opportunities that inoculation vaccine certificates offer in terms of as a gateway to digital identity, then yeah, and that is, in my view, exactly what we're seeing.
When they published that article in 2016, or at least they were founded, you say ID 2020, you said their backers include groups such as Microsoft, that there was an article published where they sort of explained how like visual identity would be, their aims about visual identity. Who's that published for?
I think that there's a paper trail with just about everything that is kind of happening right now. The World Economic Forum's founder, who you've covered on a number of occasions, Klaus Schwab, I mean, he talks openly about how we have to use this pandemic as an opportunity to radically restructure the world and to create this kind of like totally digitally connected. In answer to your question, who is it aimed at? I would say it's aimed at the sort of kind of like stakeholders that they would be writing for, the sort of people who might be connected with companies like Microsoft, companies like Accenture, companies like PwC, the Rockefeller Foundation. So, I mean, I think that we live in this world where power has already drifted upwards or has been taken from us and has been pulled upwards. And to such an extent, I think that's part of the reason why so many of us are so apathetic, because we really have so little influence over how government functions. What we didn't know is how much influence they had in the political arena. When we vote for our MPs, we do so on the assumption that they are going to represent our interests. What we don't realize is that they're going off to the World Economic Forum to get more or less their marching orders.
What about the bit where he said in 2019 they admitted that inoculation presented a wonderful opportunity for digital IDs? I'm not making any assertions or arrogating any of this complex information. That's not my job. I just want you to have the information, and together we'll work it out, because like that Buddhist monk said, I may be wrong, I may be wrong, I may be wrong. What do I know? I'm just a bloke out of Sarah Marshall. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed this video. Hit that subscribe button and join this movement. Most importantly of all though, stay free.